I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script, every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say, I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang, the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's good, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video. And today, I want to get into a very important topic for the Carolina Panthers and the quarterback situation. And I already see you typing that comment. We are not even 15 seconds deep into this video. But what I'm going to be doing here is doing a two-part video, with one video giving all the reasons why the Panthers should trade Cam Newton, and the other talking about all the reasons why they should not. It seems to me the fan base is split in half. One half has already decided 100% that they like Kyle Allen moving forward, and the other half wants to see Cam Newton, and I get that, but it seems like both groups can only think of their side as positive and the other side as negative. So I'm going to give the arguments for both sides of this, so you get a fair assessment from one person about why the Panthers should go one way or the other. And even though I have my own personal opinion, there are some really good arguments for both sides of this situation, and I feel like fans are ignoring the potential positives of the other side of the coin that they don't agree with. So here it goes. For my first video, I'm going to be arguing why the Panthers should trade Cam Newton. It's a very simple reason right now. And that's questions, not answers. There are a lot of questions about Cam Newton. And when you're in the league like the NFL, every single game matters. There's only 16 games in a full season, and there are tiebreakers every single year. Every game matters, and you can't spend too much time asking yourself questions and risking games trying to figure out the answer to those questions, because the teams who are good, they have answers. They have questions in some places, but for the most part, we see that they don't have questions about that position, being the quarterback position. And Cam is filled with a lot of questions, from his health, his shoulder. Is his shoulder actually 100% healthy? We don't even know that for a fact. We only saw 2 games, and we know how the foot can affect your throwing motion. So it's kind of hard to actually say his shoulder and his passing looked good, because honestly, there were some good throws in there, but there were also some pretty bad throws as well. We did see him overthrowing some of his targets, both short and intermediate, and there were some kind of bad passes long. There are also some very impressive passes along with that, but that's the thing we've always had a question about with Cam, is consistency. He'll have great games one week, and then have horrible games the next week. So it was hard to actually gauge what kind of quarterback was he really. Is he the guy who can get out there and give you 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and also 85, 90 yards on the ground? Or is he the guy who will give you 220 yards through the air, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, and he'll run, but when you have an all-world running back like Christian McCaffrey, do you really need your quarterback to run? Wouldn't you rather him sit in the pocket and make reads and deliver passes on a dime? So it is really hard to, even right now, evaluate what Cam is. And we can talk about those first few games, those first 8 games of last year. But what did we see from those first 8 games last year? A whole lot of throws to the running back, and a lot of slants, a lot of really short routes from the receivers and the tight ends. Those are passes that a backup can make. I'm not going to lie to you. Those weren't deep passes. He wasn't throwing fades. He wasn't throwing a lot of posts in those first few games. The scheme is very plug and play. Norv Turner, you can put in a lot of talented receivers, and you can put in, kind of mid-range quarterbacks, and they can run the passing scheme that Norv Turner brought to Carolina. It's a good scheme, and Cam did look good running it. But you're only fooling yourself if you think it takes a quarterback at 100% top-level Cam level to run that offense we ran early on last year. It really wasn't the most complex scheme in the league. Yes, there was a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of confusion going on before the snap to get the defense's eyes moving and to get like different guys on different assignments. Like maybe you get a linebacker on your slot, maybe your safety has to come down and help out, which opens up something over the top. But after the snap, we saw a lot of plays where it was one read, that read isn't there, look for the running back. It was really a cut the field in half. You have a read, find Christian McCaffrey. It wasn't like Cam was going through multiple progressions every play. It wasn't like, okay, my hot isn't there. What's going on here? Okay, my third read. Okay, is my running back open right here? He is. All right, get it down there. We can make moves here. For the most part, it really was a one read and check down system that, if we're honest, a stopgap / backup quarterback of Kyle Allen's abilities should be able to work through that scheme very easily. And if not easily, then at least a comparable level at what Cam did last year. It really wasn't the most complex thing in the world. We also have questions as to whether he will be able to run more next year. We don't know if that's going to be the case. I think he will be able to run and be mobile, but the question is whether or not he'll be able to do that consistently, or whether or not the defense will actually sell out and keep a spy out there. Will they still be worried enough about Cam's running to make sure it's a focal point of their defense? Or will they make it a focal point of their defense and say, look, you can't run, stay in the pocket and make a read? It's a really big question there that I'm not sure this season, if we have the time to get the answers to. There are a lot of really good teams in the NFC this year, and with Drew Brees coming back with the Saints still playing really good, it's going to be hard to just start having experiments mid-season. At this point, every game matters, and I'm not sure we have enough time to really be experimenting and trying things out and seeing how comfortable guys are this late in the season. It's not very late, but it's late enough that with 2 losses already, we can't really risk too many more losses on the season. And it's not just about this season at all. It's not just about the season at all. Because next season, if we keep Cam, there's a $21 million cap hit. But if we were to trade Cam away, or if he was just to get cut, but really a trade away from Cam, we would save $19 million in the cap, and there would only be a $2 million cap hit, which would open up the books to maybe be able to keep some guys like maybe Gerald McCoy, but I'm not sure about that. Mario Addison for sure. I don't think we're going to keep Darrell Williams, so I don't really know about that too much. These are all guys who are going to be free agents next year. I don't see us keeping Bruce Irvin, but Ross Cockrell could be a guy we keep. Shaq Thompson is an important piece that's going to he's going to be due for some money this upcoming season. Can we keep him if we don't keep Cam? Obviously, James Bradbury, he might be looking for a top-of-the-line cornerback money. He is a very, very good corner. So that $19 million could help us out there. Trey Boston is a guy who I think the team likes a lot, but I don't really see him demanding too much money because he had 2 good seasons, one with the Cards, one with the Chargers, and he was still a very, very late free agent acquisition for us this past offseason. I think the NFL is kind of done with Trey Boston. We can probably keep him for the cheap. There's also maybe Joey Sly, who we kind of hype him up to be a kicker deity, and he's shown he's a human. So he could be someone we keep. I mean, I'm not really sure about that. But really, Shaq Thompson, James Bradbury, maybe a Gerald McCoy, but really a Mario Addison, and maybe even a Kyle Love, who's an interior defensive lineman, who his contract did run out last year. We let him test free agency. He didn't like what he saw, so he came back to us, and he was a really good, probably the most consistent piece on the defense last year. But so far, the defense is looking so good this year. I'm not sure just how huge of an effect he's had. I don't care how good Vernon Butler's playing this year right now. I don't care. He's already gone in my book. I have a great season this year. Make your money, my brother. Make your money for next year for wherever you're going to be. But wherever you're going to be, I hope it's nice and I hope it's sunny. But I hope it's not Carolina. But that just covers our free agents. That only covers free agents. Imagine if the team were to trade Cam Newton before the trade deadline in a few days. Just how much trade capital can a team get for come on now, brother, for a franchise quarterback? I don't think this has ever happened. I think the closest we've ever gotten to a franchise quarterback being available was with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, and that was only because the Redskins, they have a terrible, terrible front office, they franchised him once, franchised him twice, and then let him walk. No matter what your thoughts are about Kirk Cousins, the man is a franchise quarterback. He's above the Dalton line. Google that if you don't know who that is. But this man, Kirk Cousins, was a franchise quarterback on the open market. I believe he got $82 million fully guaranteed from the Vikings. He's had some pretty good games this season. Last year wasn't really his year. But we haven't really seen a franchise quarterback get traded. We've seen some really good. We just saw Jalen Ramsey go for 2 firsts and a 4th, right? I think they had to give up a 3rd in return. But imagine what a quarterback like Cam Newton would cost. We could probably get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 5th. I mean, you could really get 3 firsts for Cam and more picks. I mean, look at the Khalil Mack trade. The Raiders got a bunch of picks for Khalil Mack, and he's an edge rusher. Point is, for a franchise quarterback, I don't think we've never seen the market for a franchise quarterback on the trade block. The Bears could get him. But the Bears is kind of a short-sighted look. That's an obvious look. The Titans, they just benched Mariota. Ryan Tannehill is not your quarterback of the future. The Titans are in the mix. There's the Bengals. They might want to get away from Andy Dalton after this year. There's Denver. They have Joe Flacco, but he's not the quarterback of the future for that team as well. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of teams. I'm trying to think about it right now. There are several teams right now. The Dolphins, probably not. They want Tua, probably, so that probably couldn't work. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's several teams right now. The Raiders. Maybe the Raiders. Maybe even the Chargers, because Phillip Rivers is kind of probably on his last leg after this year. But the Raiders could probably be a team when they're moving to Vegas. Imagine Cam Newton in Vegas. That's a show. That is a show. Cam Newton in LA. That's a show. That can probably get Chargers fans to show up to the Chargers games. But the point is, there are several teams who would be willing and maybe interested in Cam Newton. I have no idea. It just blows my mind. I don't know what the cost would be. It could be 3 firsts, a second, a third, and like a fifth. The cost of a franchise quarterback is going to be steep. But it's no steeper than the cost of not having a franchise quarterback when, like I mentioned, there are teams who have gone decades. Decades. And this happens regularly. There are teams that get lucky, like the Packers, like the Patriots. Well, the Patriots, they're not lucky at all. But there are teams that get lucky, like the Colts, actually. Until Andrew Luck got hurt. But Jacoby Brissett's been playing pretty good. They finally respected this man and got him a line. Well, they got Andrew Luck a line. And Andrew Luck basically gave that to Jacoby Brissett as inheritance. But for the most part, teams do not get lucky. It's hard to draft quarterbacks. It's very hard to look at a quarterback in college and say, oh yeah, they'll definitely work out in the pros. Teams go decades without having quarterbacks. Even though the cost is steep, you might be willing to take that risk because chances are, even if you had those picks, you might not find your franchise quarterback with those picks. So you might be willing to roll the dice and hope that Cam is healthy and can come in and be that guy for you. And you don't need him to be an MVP candidate. If Cam can play 75, 80% of what he was in 2015 and you give him a defense, that's a Super Bowl winning team. I'm not saying a 75, 80% healthy Cam. I'm saying a 75, 80% production from his MVP season. So like a top, let's call it top 8 to top 11 quarterback in the league with a defense. You can do a lot with that. And that would be worth the cost when the alternative is possibly and realistically not finding a quarterback for another 15 years. Teams would be willing to do that. Especially teams who have gone through those decades and are still going through those decades, or teams who have had a good quarterback like the Chargers who don't want to go through that time period of looking for a quarterback. Teams that have a good team, a solid team right now, and they really can't afford to waste those contracts of those good players, maybe finding a quarterback. Getting Cam could be a blessing for those guys, especially if it's a trade with the Bengals, who are going to have a bad record. The Chargers will have a decent record, but actually, no, they won't, maybe. Actually, they probably won't. But the point is, if you trade with a team with a bad record, you're getting very low, really good picks. And you get that money from Cam as well. It's kind of hard to argue with money on the back end and a lot of really good, highly valuable draft picks in this upcoming draft. And maybe in 2021's draft as well for some of those picks. You don't need the best quarterback in the world. If you can pick up some of the better defenders, you can pick up some more weapons, you can pay guys to stay on the team. If you surround a guy like Kyle Allen, who you could probably assume will get better as this year goes on, and next year if he gets the full complement, the full offseason, and the full preseason of taking the snaps with the ones, you can only assume he's going to get, he'll probably get better, but surround him with a superior defense, with an even better O-line. You got Christian McCaffrey. You can maybe find one more receiver. You can really do a lot with a game manager quarterback, an elite defense, and dependable weapons around him and protection. You can win a Super Bowl with that. We saw Peyton do it. Peyton was garbage. People forget. Brock Osweiler is the only reason the Broncos made the playoffs. But that's all I got for you for right now, man. All the reasons why Cam Newton should be traded by the Carolina Panthers. So let me know what your thoughts are on this video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. There are ways to support the channel in the description below. And as always, you already know what to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.